in England, I don't think we would give a crap whether they footballers sang, knelt, lay down, or star jumped during the national anthem, as long as they win. Anyway, never mind that. From what I understand, the US is still odds on to win the World Series. Am I right?
Yes, we do tend to do pretty well in the World Series year after year. Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Very Special Relationship, the show that straddles the Atlantic, but not in a way that's working for our OnlyFans account. May have to rethink that one. I am your host from the Fenix News Network, Andrea Bridges-Smith, and here with me from the Interesting Times is Matt Johnston. Matt, what is happening over there on the more easterly side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, it's a little bit depressing over here at the moment. Basically, the Conservative Party is playing out to its rather more, shall we say, racist fan base.
Sure.
In fact, I'm trying to think if they got a fan base that isn't racist, but never mind. They're having to deal with the immigration problem that they themselves sort of started. You know, we get about 40,000 asylum seekers every year into this country, approximately. And they haven't been sort of clearing the backlog. So we've got about 120, 150,000. And rather than actually sort of attempting to deal with the problem, they keep trying to find more elaborate and inhumane ways of, just basically dehumanizing these people.
Right.
You know about the story about them flying, refugees out to Rwanda.
Yes, which makes, is a very Dickensian villain type situation there.
Ridiculous. And bearing in mind, it wasn't 20 years ago that Rwanda had, a genocide there, for goodness sake.
Right.
They've now brought in a couple of large barges built for about 200 people. They're going to stick about 500 refugees on there. It's just insane. Bearing in mind that they've come over more often than not, they would have come over on a boat in cramped conditions on a boat. And now they're going to put them in cramped conditions on a boat. It's just so inhuman. Anyway, the deputy party chairman of the Conservative Party, I'll say that once more, the deputy party chairman of the Conservative Party, a chap called Lee Anderson, a vile human being, has turned around and said, if they don't like it on the barge, they can fuck off back to France. This is where we are as a country. Unbelievable.
Well, he sounds like a lovely chap that you would absolutely want to spend a Christmas dinner with. I'm sure he would think about putting coal in your stocking, but then decide against it because then you'd have something useful in your stocking.
Exactly. You'd have something to keep you warm at Christmas. You wouldn't want that.
Right, exactly. And also, what has ever gone wrong when we have put too many things on a boat that floats on water? There's no room for anything to go wrong there, right?
No, absolutely. Oh, dear. So I'll tell you what, a little bit more lighter news, if I may.
Okay.
Can we talk about the World Cup?
Oh, yes, but you might be feeling a bit lighter about it than I might.
All right. Well, like a lot of fans, I don't know a lot about football, but I do have an opinion, which, as we know, is just as relevant as facts, right?
100% every time.
Good. So first of all, just let me say this. Commiserations to the American women's team, the Eaglettes or something. What do they call the American women's team?
They should be called the Eaglettes. It's a much better name. No, we refer to them as the U.S. Women's National Team. It's nice and short, very compact, really rolls off the tongue. Wonderful abbreviation.
Yes, and exactly what it is. There's no ambiguity there, is there? All right, wonderful.
None.
Now, they haven't been at their best at this World Cup, and you're probably aware that they got knocked out. So first things first, I've got to ask if Americans actually even care that much about soccer. Does that bother you? By the way, when we talk about soccer and football, when we talk about American football, that's what we call it. We call it American football.
Right.
And for anybody that doesn't know why Americans call it soccer, there are two reasons, in fact. One is because it comes from the full name of what we call it, which is association football. So it's the soccer part of association. That's where they get the soccer from. And the second reason they call it soccer is to annoy us.
Yes, and it works every single time, 100%. So I'm going to be very controversial here. This is an extremely hot take, and say that soccer should be called football. for obvious reasons. There's a lot of feet touching a ball. It's pretty much the entire game. And I think American football, there's really only one guy on the entire team that ever touches the ball with his foot on purpose, and he only does it a couple times a game. American football should be renamed to man-pile, because that's how it ends up most of the time. Doesn't that make more sense, man-pile?
Yes. Like, who's your man-pile team? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Let's go down to the pub and watch the man-pile Super Bowl. I just think it sounds better. Extremely hot take there. I'll get in a lot of trouble for that one. No, so Americans, a lot of us are very upset because, women's soccer/football, this is a thing that we are supposed to be really good at, like shooting and owning guns and eating too much red meat. There is one group, though, who is actually really happy about our defeat, and that is conservatives, who apparently just hate everything that is good now.
Yeah, I mean, look, there could have been any number of reasons for the US going out, not playing the right tactics, lack of preparation, conflicts with the domestic game in the US. But the one reason I was not expecting has come from the right wing media, essentially. They've said it's because the Americans were too busy kneeling to win, which I thought was fair enough, especially if it was during the game. I mean, you don't want to make it any harder for yourself to play football by not even standing. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Sure, yes.
But the problem seems to be that the US team is too woke, go home. I guess that's a new phrase. Not sure how that works. I mean, Germany have to be asking what they did wrong or even right. See, that was Megan Rapinoe's problem. If she spent a bit more time playing football rather than focusing on answering questions that she'd been asked, or seeking equal pay for the women's team, or using her status, not status, as a world-renowned sports star to highlight the prejudice of minorities in the US and around the world, then maybe she won a bit more than a measly 2 World Cups, gold and bronze, Olympic medal, Balloon d'Or, 3 She Believes tournaments, and 3 CONCACAF tournament championships. Honestly, talk about throwing your career away. Anyway, by the way, America, sorry, but in England, I don't think we would give a crap whether they footballers sang, knelt, laid down, or star jumped during the national anthem, as long as they win. Anyway, never mind that. From what I understand, the US is still odds on to win the World Series. Am I right?
Yes, we do tend to do pretty well in the World Series year after year. We are an absolute powerhouse there. But yes, according to conservatives, any women who lose at sports are losing because they are woke, and if they want to win, they should go home and have babies. Sorry, hang on. I'm trying to think about how not playing sports and having babies helps women win sporting events, but I don't know. I'm a woman. What do I know? I saw the Barbie movie the other day, which is very feminist, and I haven't won a sports match since. Granted, I haven't played any sports, but if you ask me, this is all Greta Gerwig's fault.
Fair enough. Oh, by the way, you can still cheer on the English if you like, right?
At this point, it's all I can do. I'm certainly not pulling for the Swedes.
It's the only way to get them out the ground. So, Andrea, the ongoing Trump saga, I'm guessing, is still ongoing. So what's the latest?
Now, Matt, I don't know why you think there would be anything interesting or dramatic going on with Donald Trump. That's just very rare over here. No, of course there is. There always is. So while we were off last week, Trump got himself indicted for the 3rd time. I found out about this because I was on a boat, and one of my friends texted me Happy Indictment Day while I was on a boat. And so I've been getting a lot of those texts lately. And so thank you to all my friends who wish me a happy indictment day. It is indeed a happy day for me every time it happens. But Matt, this indictment number 3, 3rd in the past, I think, 4 months, this one is, as the French would say, la enchilada entière. As
Nice.
you may recall, back in 2020, Trump took the concept of being a sore loser to brand new heights and tried to overthrow democracy with the help of a ragtag batch of sidekicks that would make Mr. Bean look like a Mensa candidate. Now those chickens are finally coming home to roost after a very long investigation, and Democrats are salivating over how many years in prison he might get, while Republicans keep donating to him so he can immediately spend that money on hiring more lawyers. I'm truly amazed that there are any lawyers left for him to hire. Luckily, there is no powdered wig budget like with your barrister, so we're in a good spot there. Lately, there has been a rash of news headlines with titles like, "Could Trump serve as president from jail?" And that is just a very weird thing to have going on in your country.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely concerning. I mean, how would that work? You have to wait and Trump has to wait in turn for the phone in order to call the French president. And your vice president can only see him during office hours.
Right.
And I'm not even going to get into conjugal visits.
Yes, let's definitely try to never, ever, ever think about those.
So while you've got your political woes over there, Andrea, at least this guy's out of office, which is more than can be said for our very own Nadine Dorries, Member of Parliament for Mid Bedfordshire. For anyone that doesn't know where that is, just go to Bedfordshire and head for the centre. Anyway.
Great directions. It's like
yes,
Google Maps right in front of me.
Nadine Dorries, who said that following on from Boris Johnson's resignation honours in which she wouldn't be given a seat in the House of Lords, she would be resigning with immediate effect. Now, that was done on the 9th of June, 2 months ago. She's still there, still picking up the paycheck and still not doing the work. So no change there then.
So for our American listeners who are not familiar with Nadine, can you give us some background on who she is and how bad is she? If she's friends with Bojo, I'm assuming she's an absolute viper.
Well, a viper would suggest a sense of cunning, and she definitely doesn't have that. She has a show on Talk TV, which is a UK network owned by Murdoch. Who else? Mm-hmm. And each week she invites on guests who tell her she's wrong about everything. Genuinely entertaining. It's wonderful to watch. She just sits across from these people spouting nonsense and they go, "No, that's wrong. You're on for this reasons." Honestly, I'm thinking of putting a montage together and setting it to music. Maybe The Entertainer or something like that. I think that'd be a winner, definitely. So you won't be surprised to know that she is completely besotted with Johnson to the point that Johnson can do no wrong. He certainly never lied. She's just about the only person in the country that thinks that Johnson never lies, and that includes Johnson himself. So the best way to describe her, really, for anybody that doesn't know her, is she's a Marjorie Taylor Greene without the biceps and indeed without the guns.
Okay. That makes sense. Picture starting to form in my head. Well, then I definitely dislike her, and I invite all of our American listeners to take that shortcut with me.
Absolutely. Good call. Oh, by the way, I am pleased to see at least one individual running for leader of the free country. One, President Camacho, played by Terry Crews, reprising his role, join Idiocracy.
Yeah, that might be the best bit of leadership we've had in decades if he wins.
So, Andrea, if you've got any friends or relatives in Florida, it probably wouldn't hurt to get on the right side of them, at least for the next few weeks, because apparently someone there has won a little over $1.5 billion on the lottery. Honestly, wow. I mean, that could pay for the entire Conservative Party to be shot to the moon. Unfortunately, we only cover a one-way ticket. Oh, well. Obvious question, what would you buy with that sort of money?
Ooh, that's actually an excellent question. I've always wanted to buy a senator. Can you guys do that over there? Can you make big donations to a politician and then make them do whatever you want once they're in office?
Yeah, I mean, there are rules, but the politicians aren't big on rules. They would say that you're not allowed to buy a politician, although effectively you would be buying their time. I don't know the difference.
Right. We also have some cute little rules about, and then we just go right around those. They're pretty easy to get around. But yes, that is what I want to do. The senator that I want to buy is Ted Cruz. I would make him do whatever I wanted, completely reversing all of his principles, and then I would take him out to a strip club, get him in the champagne room, and leak those pictures to the media once he had completed my legislative to-do list. That's really the dream.
Right, wow. So from Terry Crews to Ted Cruz.
Yes.
It's a first on this show as well, because I didn't realize Ted Cruz had principles.
Well, he has whatever principles you pay him to have.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
very expedient.
Well, I understand you'd have plenty of money left over anyway.
Yes, probably so. What about you, Matt? What would you do with that much money?
I get a big house in the country. I don't know which country. That's the point. I would actually do so much traveling, my carbon footprint would look like a T-Rex had left it there. I mean, sorry, what I meant to say was I'd help those less well off than myself, of course. Of course I would.
Yes, of course. Helping poor people, that is what we would do. How many poor people boats do you think you could buy with that much money if you doubled them up, two to a cabin, right?
Oh, God. Oh, yes, that's a good point. Yeah, crikey. I would actually make all the Conservative politicians move to that barge, and I would make that their home, and I would get the asylum seekers and get them to make their choices for the country from Westminster. I'm sure that could be done with $1.5 billion. That would be.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, we'll just do like a swap. We'll just do like a house swap situation. That would be great. I like that idea. You should be in charge of things, Matt. Why aren't you?
Why does nobody ever ask me? But never mind. All right. Thank you very much, everybody out there. Thank you for being out there. It's a lot better than you being in here, because that would just be plain weird. And also thank you to Andrea Bridges-Smith for joining me today. And if you want to see Trump jailed, and let's be honest, who doesn't, then do catch up on everything in the way of American politics. You can do that with Andrea's show at Fenix News Network. I can't promise any British politicians being jailed, but I can certainly give you plenty of reasons why they should be. My show is at the Interesting Times UK. We're not here next week, so we're going to do it all again in a couple of weeks' time. Andrea, does that sound good?
That sounds perfect. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.